Yeah, so for us, the Giving Tuesday event was just a tremendous opportunity to get our name out there in the community, not just in New York, but beyond. For us, we saw our Twitter followers, our Facebook followers jump many, many times over. I think we now have something like 2,000 Twitter followers, over 7,000 Facebook followers, and a lot of that early exposure came from that Giving Tuesday event. So for service here, it was just tremendous. I guess I would encourage any young nonprofit to go out and try to win this event. In the first annual Giving Tuesday pitch event, you had big nonprofits like Teach for America, these very established nonprofits, and then smaller ones like Service Here, much newer in the market. But I think for all of us, especially these new nonprofits, it was a stamp of credibility to be there on that stage with the big guys, so it was good for us. I think the biggest benefit of Giving Tuesday for us as a small organization was really just going through the entire process, applying to be at Giving Tuesday, and then finally getting selected and being selected to pitch on the Giving Tuesday event. That process for us as a young nonprofit was one of the first times we had gone through that, and I would say for any CEO out there of a nonprofit, to go through that is just a tremendous thing. And then in terms of what did we do with that exposure, for us it really widened our audience. And it's not about the money, it's really about that exposure that this event can provide for you. That's a really tough one. There's so many things that I wish I had known when I started Service Here. Wow, what advice do I have? I guess if I had to boil it down to just a few things, first thing I would say is really know your story. What's your story? And not just the story for your organization, the model, but the story for you as the founder. What's your story? Who are you? What do you believe in? What do you represent? Because you're really putting your stake in the ground and you want people to support you. You got to know who you are first. So that's the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice would be have a partner. I don't have a partner still. It's so hard to start a nonprofit. In some ways, I would imagine it's even harder than starting a for-profit. Right? There isn't this financial ecosystem behind nonprofits. There isn't seed philanthropists in mass the way there is for the venture space. So, having the resourcefulness of another person, I think, would have been tremendous. Third piece of advice would be show me the money. Where's the money going to come from? Have a good idea of how you plan to money in, be it through fundraising, through earned income models. Whatever your plan is, really have a strong understanding of that before you launch your nonprofit. Some advice I would have for nonprofits pitching at the event. I guess I could just tell you what we did, what Service Here did. For us, this wasn't our first pitch event, but it was one of our early ones. Fortunately, this event was very specific. It's 2 minutes, so we knew the format. What I did anyway was write it out, like literally write it out, not just say it a number of times, but write it out, think about it, work with that, and then of course practice in front of a mirror if you can, practice in front of someone else. I think the important thing is that when you do get up there, it's about being natural and being at ease with the crowd. And the better you have control over your material, the better and more comfortable you're going to feel up there. And don't worry about all the smiling faces. Just worry about yourself and you'll be fine. Our philosophy at Service Here is a little bit different. The way we see the world is that the most sustainable force really is love. And so it's not really about picking this nonprofit sector or that nonprofit sector. It's about placing people where they love what they're doing and they're passionate about the cause or the nonprofit or the people they're working with. So, who are we to say that healthcare is more important than poverty or the environment? We think it's all important, and we think everyone can and should do more of it. And so we believe in empowering people to do that as much as possible, as soon as possible, and doing it in the things that they love. So, first off, the hardest thing that I've found with corporate sponsors is just getting access, just getting in the room and getting in front of them. A few pieces of advice from the Service Here experience that I can offer. One is that even though these companies might be huge, we've worked to this point with Fortune 10 companies, just really huge companies. I would say you got to kind of forget that and remember that you're speaking to a person, and it's not just about the company. It's about what is that person about and what do they care about. You know, the second thing with companies is that once you're able to get in the door, you really have to customize it for that company. You might have a product, a service, a charity that fits for across the board with companies. But really think about what specifically about that company, its culture, its values, its needs, fits with what you're offering. And then the third thing I would say is to leverage existing relationships. So once you have a company, now they're invested in you. Partnership really is a partnership, and they want to see that partnership succeed, and by extension, they want to see you succeed.